Russia attacked Ukraine's capital with missiles and drones overnight, killing at least 6 people including a 6-year-old boy, Ukrainian authorities said Thursday. According to Associated Press, Kyiv Mayor Vitali Klitschko said more than 50 people were injured in the attacks, and that the number was likely to rise. A large part of a 9-story residential building collapsed after it was struck. Rescue teams were at the scene to rescue people trapped under the rubble. Images from the scene showed plumes of smoke emanating from a partially damaged building and debris strewn on the ground. At least 27 locations across Kiev were hit by the attack, Kyiv City Military Administration head Tymur Tkachenko said, with the heaviest damage seen in the Solomianskyi and Sviatoshynskyi districts. U.S. President Donald Trump said Tuesday he's giving Russian President Vladimir Putin a shorter deadline, August 8, for peace efforts to make progress, or Washington will impose punitive sanctions and tariffs. Western leaders have accused Putin of dragging his feet in U.S.-led peace efforts in an attempt to capture more Ukrainian land.
Чергова атака сьогоднішньої ночі, комбінована ракета-дрони. Святошинський район, одне із міст влучання, будинок зруйнований, 54 квартири. На сьогоднішній момент, на цю секунду зараз можна говорити про 6 людей, які загинули. Роботи по рятуванню продовжуються. Ми не виключаємо, що під завалами можуть знаходитись люди. В цьому під'їзді було 54 квартири. На цю секунду звернулося більше 50 людей за медичною допомогою, більше 30 людей госпіталізовано.
In Donetsk Oblast, the Russian army launched an offensive on Seversk, which can be called a landmark one. The Luhansk OTGV ceased to exist. Its formations continue to operate as part of the 11th Army Corps. On July the 25th, the enemy attempted to take advantage of the reform situation and conducted a series of assaults near Verkhnekamenskoye and Grigorovka. The Russian commander's plan was thwarted by the 54th Separate Mechanized Brigade and the 81st Airborne Motorized Brigade. 27 assaults resulted in the elimination of at least 80 occupiers. The weakest link in Putin's army, the loss of 6 tanks, 3 armored personnel carriers and 41 motorcycles. The 11th Army Corps reported this in a commentary to Ukrainska Pravda. The publication rightly noted that the pressure on Seversk increased after Russian troops captured Seversk. Seversk is currently the only obstacle for Russian troops on the eastern route to Slavyansk. The Russian army regularly exerts pressure in the northern direction, periodically conducting large-scale assaults using infantry and equipment. Their pressure intensified especially after the loss of the neighboring village of Belogorovka in May to June 2025. Holding Seversk allows them to contain the Russian offensive on Slavyansk from the east. According to UP, from July the 26th, the operational tactical group of troops Lugansk ceases to exist within the framework of the Corps reform and will continue to work in the format of the 11th Army Corps. UP's interlocutors in the area assume that the Russian army knew about the planned change in the command format at the front and tried to take advantage of this potential weak spot, but it did not succeed. Let us recall that on July the 25th, media reported that the Commander-in-Chief of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Oleksandr Syrsky, expressed confidence in the ability of the Ukrainian Armed Forces to counterattack, calling the Pokrovsk direction the hottest on the front. According to him, the enemy has attracted the maximum number of people and material resources in order to try to implement its aggressive plans. Syrsky discussed the situation that has developed at the front at a meeting with the Supreme Allied Commander in Europe, American General Alexis Grinkevich. The meeting was also attended by the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Major General Andriy Natov, and the commander of the NATO Security and Training Mission, Lieutenant General Curtis Buzzard. Syrsky emphasized that Ukraine's allies fully understand the scope and difficulty of the tasks facing the Ukrainian armed forces. The Ukrainian armed forces still have the potential to defeat the enemy's offensive groups. At the meeting with Grinkevich, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky, also discussed the US and NATO plan for anti-aircraft missile systems for Ukraine, which the European Union paid for. According to him, these SAMs are already on the way. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, as of July the 25th, 2025, the hottest section of the front remains the Pokrovsk direction.